Hello, heretics. Welcome to Men Metal Mayhem, the podcast where the Brothers Men take a deep dive into the discographies of our favorite metal bands. I'm your host, Brother Paul, joined as ever by my two brothers and co-hosts, Brother John.
Oh, let's get evil, brothers.
And Brother Dave.
Since you never give a damn in the first place, maybe it's time you had the tables turned, because in the interest of all involved, we got the problem solved, and the verdict is guilty.
Season 4 Blasphemers. We are diving into the world of blasphemous and anti-religious metal, and today we are discussing Bathory's classic 1987 album, Under the Sign of the Black Mark. Join us in Nocturnal Obeisance. Released May 11th, 1987, Brother John, give us the top hits of the day, tell us what you were up to, and hit us with your album highlight.
All right, with pleather,
Pleather.
with
pleather.
well, speaking of pleather, let's jump to number 9 on the top 40. That was a little something called "Talk Dirty to Me" by Poison, and I feel like those guys knew a thing or two about wearing pleather. But other top 40 hits of the day, number 1, a little jam you might recall by the band U2, "With or Without You," a classic of its time and all time. Number 3, Cutting Crew, coming in with "I Just Died in Your Arms," another classic.
So good.
And number 14, Bon Jovi, "Wanted Dead or Alive." This week was like a big week for enduring hits. All of those, I feel like, still get a decent amount of airplay to this day. What is it, 30 years later? 40? How long has it been since 87?
Almost
29.
40 years.
Yeah, like 40 years. That's crazy. Oh, man. So, but at that time, I was 4.5 years old. So I don't know. I was probably doing like preschool things. I have no recollection of what I was up to at that age. And as I was looking for an album to talk about from 87, there really wasn't a whole lot that was stuff that I really listened to, but I did see that in 1987, the Mighty Mighty BossTones made their recorded debut when they were featured on the Mash It Up ska compilation, and their songs "The Cave" and "Ugly" were on that. Came out with their first EP, but they're hitting the scene, and that bode well for me in the future because one of my favorite bands ever. Also, another one that I just got to give a special shout out to from 1987, Pile Driver, the Wrestling Album 2 by World Wrestling Federation was released. And, it's maybe timely that we're talking about this because right now is day 2 of WrestleMania 42, I think, this year.
Hell yeah, brother.
But they switched it like last year. I started to get into wrestling when they put Monday Night Raw on Netflix, and so the premium stuff like WrestleMania was on Peacock. So I was like, okay, I'll get Peacock. Is less than $10 a month, I want to say. But then several months later, they switched, and now it's on ESPN Plus or whatever the internet ESPN thing is, and that's like $30 a month. It's like, okay, I don't like wrestling enough to spend $30 a month on it, but it is fun. And that album is available on YouTube. It is not good unless you like cheesy 80s music, in which case maybe it's perfect. But the last one, which I think you boys will appreciate, maybe most importantly of all, 1987 was the debut of the Christian radio drama Adventures in Odyssey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, exactly. And I was looking up a little bit of information about it on Wikipedia. I was like, I wonder how long that show ran for. Guess what? It is still putting out new episodes. Yeah.
Not surprised.
To this very day, it has 1,053 episodes, as well as 17 videos and 100 books, according to Wikipedia. So That is a juggernaut of a franchise, if ever there was one. That's pretty much all I've got. Brother Dave, what were you up to in 87?
I was busy being 3 years old, not having any long-term memories. So, yeah, that's what I was doing. I also didn't have anything in my musical repertoire from 87, but I went digging through the old Internet archives and found another debut of a band I've got some passing familiarity with. R.I.P. by the band Coroner was their first full-length debut. I'd never heard this album, but I did have their 1989 release, No More Color, which I got sometime in college. And so I was vaguely familiar with them. Coroner is a thrash band at its core. And this album, it's a little bit rough, but you can already hear what makes Coroner special and makes them kind of stand out. Like they're very technical for being a thrash band of this time period. And they've got a heavy dose of progressive elements as well. And I feel like they've aged better than a lot of other 80s thrash, which kind of feels a bit generic to me.
Hmm.
But listening to Coroner, I'm like, yeah, there's some gold here for sure. And I feel like they were doing stuff in 87 that would come into vogue in metal more generally, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. So I think they were actually pretty ahead of their time. And also, a little tidbit, mostly for Brother Paul, because we all know you love Tom Warrior, and Coroner started off as roadies for Celtic Frost,
Oh,
and Tom Warrior was actually their first vocalist for the EP that they put out before this one.
oh, nice.
So, yeah, thought you'd like that. So this album, it's a victim of low budget late 80s metal production, but I think especially if you're into thrash, it's definitely worth checking out. It's a very interesting band and album.
Well, I don't have much for this section because in 1987, I wasn't even a twinkle in our father's eye, and I won't be born until 1988. So let's move on to my album highlight. And I had no problem. If anything, I had too many choices. But I finally decided on the Sisters of Mercy and their second album, Floodland. I've never been shy about my love of goth music, particularly the 80s post-punk variety, and this album is absolutely essential. It includes a song, Lucretia, My Reflection, which was covered by Warrell Dane to great effect. In high school, I did forensics, which is, competitive speech. And I have so many memories of waking up at 5 a.m. to drive to like bumfuck nowhere, Wisconsin in the dead of winter to compete while playing this album. So it's a really good one. Sisters of Mercy are definitely a band you need to check out if you want to listen to 80s goth music. But let's move on to some of Bathory's contemporaries, and we have Mayhem coming out with Death Crush. And this is a first wave black metal EP that is under 18 minutes. And it starts with a weird electronic krautrock drum instrumental. It's super fucking weird. And then speaking of them, Celtic Frost came out with Into the Pandemonium, their third album, and they've shed most of their black metal influences for their more avant-garde gothic new wave metal melting pot approach. Both albums that I listen to and I'm like, eh, not necessarily for me. But in other news, this was a really big year for bands forming, so I just want to quickly call out Cynic. Camelot, Meshuggah, Rotting Christ, and Porcupine Tree, all of whom formed this year, and all of whom we've mentioned at various points on the podcast. Playing on this album, we have Corthon, who handles everything: vocals, guitar, bass, drums, synthesizer. And then we have Krister Sandstrom, additional bass.
It's the foundation of the band.
We need additional bass in there, guys. And finally, we have Paul Lundberg on drums. This album was produced by Corthon and Boss Forsberg, who had worked on their previous two albums and is also Corthon's father. So, the original Nepo baby here in metal. And it was released via Black Mark Productions, which is owned by his father, Boss Forsberg. In choosing the albums for this season, I definitely wanted an album that was early on in the development of metal and black metal specifically. And this album is consistently ranked, one of the top black metal albums, one of the most quintessential, and it definitely laid the blueprint for a lot of what came after. But I think it's fair to say that none of us are very familiar with Bathory. Is that an accurate statement?
I couldn't list a single Bathory song, and I've never listened to an album.
That is my exact same response.
Okay, well, let's get into it. This album has 10 tracks. It is 35 minutes long, and it kicks off with track number 1, Nocturnal Obeisance. Brother Dave.
We get some atmospheric wind, which eventually some ominous music comes in behind it for about a minute and a half and sets the mood. I feel like maybe this is where it all started, but this is a classic black metal album intro where it's not a song, it's just some spooky music or some spooky sounds.
Yeah, just sort of a moody, spooky thing to set the stage, really. And I liked it.
Yeah.
Also, I was like, what the heck does obeisance mean? I don't think I'd ever heard that word. Obeisance, according to the internet dictionary, whatever, refers to a physical gesture, such as a bow, curtsy, or kneel, that expresses deep respect, reverence, or submission to a superior. It also commonly signifies a respectful or obedient attitude, deference, or homage. So that just made me wonder, does that mean the penitent man shall pass through this album? Maybe something like that. But I don't know. I thought this, like, for just a moody intro, had a pretty robust sound. I was kind of excited to see what comes next.
Yeah, it's eerie wind noise and I think some organs. We need to do a ranking of all the short instrumental intros that we've covered on the podcast so far.
Well, especially all the ones that are just wind noises.
Yes,
We can probably compare.
Oh, yeah.
Wind noise. Which wind noise is the best? And then stack them up against Mors Principium Est, Activate.
Oh, that might take the cake, though, of all time.
Well, let's move on to track number 2, Massacre. And Brother Dave, take us away for real.
All right, we set a nice mood, and then Massacre comes in, and woof, this sure is early black metal.
Massacred the mood they were setting.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at all familiar with black metal, this song should sound familiar because, like, it is the genre tropes, and maybe they were making those up as they went along. We've got unintelligible shrieks that are hard to follow even when reading along with the lyrics. At a minute 25, we get a short solo that sort of goes along with the music. Doesn't really stand out as, like, there's no hook in it. It's a bunch of notes that are kind of in key. Like
Exactly
there's
what you want from a
more.
solo. A bunch of notes that are kind of in key.
Button mash that guitar.
Yeah, like there's more going on here than with Horde, but not by much. Brother John.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, following the intro, which sounded pretty cool, it's almost like on the final version of the album, they accidentally put the basement recorded demo track as like the final album song rather than the one that they recorded in studio. But I guess this is what they actually made. So we're basically in for some rough production quality, and I'm thinking this might not be a good one to listen to on car speakers. Like when I first listened to it, I was in my car. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to listen to this on headphones and reserve a little bit of judgment because it just sounds extra crappy, on my
Hmm.
2014 Subaru Outback factory standard speakers. Not not rocking a great sound system in there. But yeah, even on the headphones, it's like, okay, this is a pretty rough one. It's like kind of the punk style drumming, just like really fast, kind of blast beaty almost, but that sort of rat-a-tat drum style that most of us aren't really much of a fan of. Lyrically, though, I'll say it's about a battle where thousands of warriors fight in and converge on a battlefield and they massacre each other. So it's kind of an intense theme for the song and somewhat interesting. But musically, not a fan of what I'm hearing so far.
Here we are. Raw lo-fi black metal is back on the menu. Look, guys, the mix was never going to be great. It's the 80s and also it's black metal, but the drums in this song are pretty overpowering and the guitars are pretty muddled. We do get that solo at the 130 mark, but outside of that solo, this song is pretty one note, but it is furious. So it engaged me even though it was very oh, oof. It's straight down the line. There's not a lot going on. But let us move on to track number three, Woman of Dark Desires. We get a nice little drum roll to kick us off, and we get a nice discernible chorus. It's fine. And then at 2:15, we get some organ coming in, and there's some furious drumming, followed by another solo. Guys, I like it. This song does enough to keep me interested, and I did find the chorus getting caught in my head. And I should say that this song is about their namesake, Elizabeth Bathory, who, you know, would
The
bathe in
woman
the
of
blood.
dark desires herself.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
so I always use darklyrics.com to read the lyrics, and they usually take little notes and stuff straight from the liner notes. And this song said, dedicated to the memory of Elizabeth Bathory, 1560 to 1614.
nice. Keep us going, brother Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which sort of gives it that edgelord feel of, yeah, she was so cool.
Well, cool enough to name the band after.
Yeah, I guess so. The drums here, they have that really big room feel. And the snare, like Paul was saying on the previous song, I feel like it's really overpowering here. And that on top of the guitars being super fuzzy, classic black metal move, makes it hard to hear if there's actually anything more technical than power chords going on. I do like the organ part at 215. It's just some big chords, but it is very effective. And I think they do try to work some more technical kind of legato stuff into the solo, but it's really hard to make it out. And by the end, man, that snare drum is tough.
Hmm.
Just real tough. Brother
Well,
John?
I don't remember. Well, in fact, I remember thinking the drums on this one were quite a step up from the song before because they're actually mixing it up a bit. It's not just that straight sort of punk beat the entire time. This song basically just has like some more interesting dynamics, and it's less of a one note sort of thing. And I thought it was not too bad, aside from the poor quality of the recording. Again, it is the classic basement black metal sound, one mic in the middle of the room, recorded live. But you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. And this song, at least, I feel like they're doing some more interesting stuff. And on this one, well, on several of the songs, but I just really noticed the vocals. That's where this band shines. I mean, he has a very nice, very evil sound to his voice, and I appreciated what he was spitting out.
Nice. Well, let us move on to track number 4, Call from the Grave. Brother John.
Yeah, well, this one has some real lo-fi, spooky synth stuff to start it out, with some other weird noises like a microphone being dragged along the ground while someone was breathing heavily. I was wondering like what's going on, and then the song kicks in, and we got more black metal, obviously. And once again, the vocals here shine. And lyrically, I don't think we're really going to dive into this one, but he just strikes me as a man possessed by torment, and you can really feel it here on this song in particular. And the lyrics here even essentially acknowledge the existence of God, or at least lean into the idea of calling out to God in a time of suffering. So I thought that was interesting, that like a evil black metal band would be saying. I didn't write down the exact lyric. I could probably find it. Hold on. Let me just find. It says, "I scream for mercy. Hear my cries. Oh Lord, don't abandon me. I'm so tired. Grant me the eternal sleep." In his time of trouble, he's crying out to the Lord, it seems. So that I thought was just interesting. And also at the 3 minute mark or thereabouts, we get some wailing guitar lead stuff, which was kind of fun.
This one, the intro is interesting with, I think what it's supposed to be is the sound of a guy in a coffin who's been buried alive and is scratching at the lid of his coffin. That was my
Yeah, that
takeaway
would make
because
sense.
the song seems to be about being buried alive and being unable to die. I mean, let's just say it. I didn't like the music on this one. It was a really simple 3 chord progression. It still beats Horde, but
Hmm.
that's a very low bar. The solo, I felt like it's just one note for a long time. And then it feels like he's just figuring out how bends work as he's playing the solo instead of having practiced this before. I mean, it's just not a technical showcase. But reading the lyrics was fun. I actually kind of enjoyed the lyrical takes of this album. Like the first one we talked about, it's about a battle or a massacre of some sort. The second song was about Liz Bathory. This one was about being buried alive and being unable to die. Each of them are like little vignettes of something dark, but it's fun. They're like little stories. And so that part I find interesting. But musically, again, this one is not doing it for me. Brother Paul?
Yeah, so I should say, at least on this album, and I think the previous ones, that this was the 80s, so they had sides, right? So side A is the side of darkness, and side B is the side of evil. So that's how, and I think that relates to lyrical themes. For this one, yeah, it slows down a bit, but then at 2:35 it shifts into something a bit more chuggy. The first part of that solo doesn't work for me, but when he figures out how to do the bends, or, it harmonizes a little bit, I'm like, yeah, I
Mhm.
like this. And reading a fandom page, there's some quotes from Corthon about this song. And he says, my point is this: no matter what sins you may have committed in this world, there is always someone to who you can ask for forgiveness and who you can enter the holy gate. Anyone would ask for forgiveness if they could. In which case, why is there a hell? Also, if God is the Almighty, then why doesn't he destroy the evil side? So, Call from the Grave isn't just about being buried alive and abandoned by God. It's really questioning the religious theory from both sides. So, that's kind of where he's coming at with this one.
Yeah,
So, yeah, kind of I
I can see it.
I like the lyrics that are going on here. Also, any song about being buried alive, I'm into. So, yeah, I'm positive on this one. Bullish on Call from the Grave.
Bullish on being buried alive.
Okay, track number 5, Equimanathorn, Brother Dave.
Interesting name, first of all. And I looked it up and I didn't see any references to anything other than this song. So I think maybe he just made it up. I don't know.
Yeah, I was reading something which now I did not take notes on whatever I was reading, but yeah, they basically made it up, and I think it is sort of like a idea of sort of a deity that would be equal to man. And it was like a combination of the words equal man and thorn, and there's something to do with the thorn. I should have taken notes. I'm sorry. This is a very poor reporting from the field. But they did make it up, is what I can
All right.
confirm that. I've seen that too.
My one sentence summary was that this song is about being granted the power of vengeance by a dark god. So it's something along those lines. And this one starts out with like a lone guitar over ominous humming. And it's cool and has decent tone. But then they immediately lose that and launch into some black metal, which is unfortunate. There is a tapping solo on this one that comes close to being musical, but it's like on the verge of just noise also. Again, this one, the lyrical content, I think, is the standout part of the song. Brother Paul.
Yeah, what a sneaky little intro that I really enjoyed. And then this one, we get the goofy, almost like rap speed vocals that was definitely a hallmark of kind of early black metal. Just shriek as fast as you can. But then he slows it down at 140 and he just shrieks out. And, I love that. And I do like the section where he just shouts out, Aquamanathorn! And at this point, all of these solos sound the same, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there's some good in here, some not so good. Brother John.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of the fast punk drumming style, and you kind of reference this. He has a real spitfire vocal delivery at parts, is how I described it. I thought this one had a little bit more musical variety than the song Massacre from earlier in the album. So, like, as far as sort of a punk leaning black metal, I like this one a little bit more because it was mixing things up a little bit more than that, but still not really my jam. Full of chaos and poorly produced brutality. A real sonic assault on the ears? Question mark. Not my jam.
Okay, well, track number 6, Enter the Eternal Fire. Brother John.
Yeah, I think I might actually like this song. It sounds like pretty cool. Far better than the first song, for example. More musical dynamics, not just a pounding, noisy kind of thing. So, I'm cautiously optimistic that maybe there will be maybe some more good songs. We'll see as the album goes on, Brother Dave.
Well, we've got only like 9 songs on this album, so they better pick up the pace on getting to those
We're getting
good songs.
close, getting close to the end here.
I felt like the intro on this one I thought was interesting. It's kind of alternating between guitars and I think synths of some sort. And then I feel like it gets mid-paced and repetitive, which wasn't great for most of the song. They do try to do some kind of like drop into a quiet part and building up to the payoff in the solo, but we've heard their solos, and I mean that's not a payoff that you want to build to. And they do it again here. It's a solo, and I'm struggling to see the appeal. I like lyrically, I have liked this band, but musically, I'm struggling to see the appeal. Brother Paul?
This one has a church bell tolling in it, and that is always a good thing. And then there's
Oh,
that
I didn't even notice that, but subconsciously I must have because I totally agree with you about
yeah.
that. Love the
Uh
church bell tolls.
oh,
Hmm.
we need them in everything. Then there's some pluck guitar. This one is fine. It's a mid-tempo jam. It's also long. It's almost 7 minutes. There's an instrumental bridge at 5, which is nice, and then it builds up at by like 5:22, it's building up. This one I like, and I think it is kind of consistently ranked as like this is the Bathory song. This is the one they're known for and that fans love. So the internet has told me. But I do want to open up our segment, Lyrical Tactics, Vocal Gymnastics.
Lyrical tactics, vocal gymnastics.
Because it is a very straightforward song about the outcome of a man who has made a deal with the devil. And his time has come and he is just walking towards the shore, and he can see Satan's eyes beckoning him, and he's getting closer. And then at the end he starts to he stands the jaws of the pit, the heat scorch my flesh, the fall seems never to end, and it ends with oh no, oh no, no, no. And it's just a fun story. And what I find interesting is like it is about a deal with the devil, and then at the end the devil collects, and that's the outcome is you burning in hell for eternity. And Corthon's aware of that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Paul, you promised us blasphemy, but this is a very Christian song.
that was my sense reading some of the lyrics. Like on the one before, he's calling out to God, and this one, same kind of deal. He like chose the years of pleasure, victories, and gold, and now he's going to hell and paying the price for all that. But it's like from a very Christian perspective. So I didn't really catch where the real blasphemy or the evil was on this album. Sorry, Dave, I kind of cut you off, but
Yeah,
I
and
need answers.
that's kind of where I'm at too, is that like he seems to be writing from a Christian perspective, writing about evil, but not necessarily glorifying evil. I mean,
In
like,
fact, it's like the opposite. It's like, oh fuck,
right.
here I am at
He's
hell,
saying,
and now I'm this sucks. Lord, help me. But
yeah,
there's no help to be found. It's a cautionary tale, if anything.
yeah.
So
Um, just
l-
interesting.
let me get into that a little bit. Because I was like, oh, early first wave black metal under the sign of the black mark. Well, this has to be a super blasphemous album, like Bathory. Oh my God. And reading about it, so he had two albums previous, and they were all those two were all about Satan and evil. And this is the last album to feature really anything about Satan. He never held any personal satanic beliefs. He just sort of wrote about Satan as a way to piss off Christians. And by this album, he felt it had kind of played out. And so he was shifting his themes. He then moves on to writing just more about Vikings and Norse mythology and helps create Viking metal for all the
I
albums
mean, you got to
going
go to the
forward.
classics. I
So
mean, this
this,
guy, he is a wellspring of new ideas in metal, it sounds like.
I
Yeah.
mean, he was at the
Basically
forefront.
just like the evil aesthetic, but didn't really buy into any of it as being true or
Yeah, he
worthwhile or anything. It's not a
right,
personal philosophy so much as he just liked the style.
right, and he
He
was
was a
talking.
poser.
Well,
Well,
he's got some things in common with Horde.
yeah, but he was very much
Well,
like
he created black metal and Horde created unblack metal, but they
Hmm.
neither of them really believed it.
Well,
have
both of them just liked how it sounded
have we ever
more
seen
than
them in the
anything.
same room?
Oh my God. You're right.
So
Same guy.
My girlfriend's from Australia.
yeah. No, but so he by this album he had kind of started to see like Christianity and Satanism as like two sides of the same coin of like I don't know, it's all kind of made up and cheesy or whatever and started shifting away. So there will be one kind of blasphemous song, but yeah, that struck me as well because I think in my mind I was like, this is an early black metal album. It has to be blasphemous, but it's really
Really not.
not. I mean, it
Yeah,
mentions Satan, it talks about Satan, but Satan doesn't really do
it's
anything wrong in this song. He's just
yeah. He's
collecting.
just
It's a
he's
deal.
yeah, yeah. He just fulfills his contract.
Yeah.
And
Um,
I mean, our good friend Savior Machine talked about Satan too, and they got banned from Christian music stores too.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
they
basically
talked
the
about
same
it in
thing.
a sexy way. The
yeah.
dragon
That's true.
slides between her thighs, it's too much
That's
for the Christians to handle in the bookstore.
All right. Well, I think that's kind of all there is lyrically on this song. I enjoy it. It's a nice little story. I guess my one question is, I'm not sure if the man, he doesn't seem to have any fear or apprehension. He's just going. So does he know what's going to happen when the devil takes his soul, or is he hoping or thinking like, I can get out of this, or maybe I'll be able to rule in hell? Like,
my take was that he was being compelled at this
right.
point by the weight of the contract he'd signed.
Okay. I think
That-
that's a good thought. So we will move on to track number 7, Chariots of Fire, Brother John.
All right. Well, this is another one with the fast drumming, the droning guitars for most of it. Again, not a huge fan. I feel like maybe they could have mixed it up and thrown a little piano interlude in or something like the Chariots of Fire song from that movie, Chariots of Fire. Da, 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 da. Although that might not have quite vibed exactly with the more evil sound they're going for. But yeah, just another one. Like most of these songs, like the fast songs, I just don't really like. I'm more of a fan of the mid-tempo ones on this album. And this is just that fast, chaotic kind of punk style black metal stuff. Yeah, didn't like it.
I was kind of right there with you. This one's thrashier and shorter after the snooze fest that was the last song. But beyond that, I didn't think there was a whole lot to say about it, other than we do get a solo starting at 156, and it's bizarre. It's kind of aimless, frantic picking into a single sad bent note. Man, the solos are weird on this album. They are just, they are a choice every single time. But again, lyrically, this one's neat. It's about, kind of seems like it's about nuclear war.
It is about
And
nuclear war.
yeah, I like what he's singing about, Brother Paul.
Yeah, this one it's quick. And he lets out like an ow at 143, another of the standard guitar solos, which so I don't know if it's just him or if like this was the style of guitar solos at the time because I was listening to the album Left Hand Path by Entombed, who's a death metal band from Sweden, and that's another seminal record. Came out in 1990. Exact same guitar style, like for their solos. And I was
Hmm.
like, huh, was this what everybody was doing at the time? Like,
I mean, people knew how to play guitar,
did
right?
they though?
80s thrash already existed. Uh,
I don't know,
but
Dave.
maybe it was like a reaction against what was going on in extreme guitar or
Right.
something. Who knows? I'm not a scientist.
Well, also,
Yeah.
I'm not like a black metal scientist, but wasn't a lot of black metal sort of just sort of anti-music in a way, like it was intentionally not polished and not good because they're trying to evoke a certain like wow, why am I having such trouble explaining what I'm trying to say? They're trying to conjure up like emotions in the listener of hatred and anger, and maybe having crappy music is part of how they do that or something.
I mean, possibly. Yeah. It was all very raw. There was
Yeah.
they leaned into, I think authenticity was kind of, one of their
Hmm.
buzzwords, and
Yeah, they didn't want it to get too digital.
true digital.
Authentically bad.
Yeah, I like the drawn out vocals at the end, but this is kind of more of the same, but I think it's well done for what it is. Which takes us to track number 8, 13 Candles, which I will say is the blasphemous song on the album. It starts, let the bells of damnation ring, let the children of the wicked sing, blow the horns with strength and might, sound the drums this night. And it's about the birth of the devil's son. We
Is
do get,
it, but okay, question. Is it more blasphemous than, like, say, the movie Rosemary's Baby, which is kind of about the same thing, about the birth of Satan's son, more or less?
well, I wonder how Christians reacted to Rosemary's Baby when it came out.
I don't know, maybe they were boycotting theaters. That actually, I only thought of this question just now, and I did not research this at all,
Well,
but
think it through next time
yeah, I
before
probably
you
should
bring me this
have.
bullshit, John.
Well, I'm just asking questions. But I mean, like, it's what is blasphemous, really? I mean, they're not like trying to shit on Christianity per se. They're just saying, like, it's kind of like along the lines of the other songs. They're sort of stories, like little vignettes or whatever. And this is one about the birth of Satan's son taking over the world. It's, I mean, is that blasphemy? It's not saying that Christianity is wrong or God sucks or anything. It's just saying, hey, Satan's cool. I feel like there's a difference there between saying Satan's cool and doing something blasphemous.
I'm 100% on that same page with you. Like, this is a story about the birth of the Antichrist or of Satan's child or something like that. But like, there's no ideology in this song.
Hmm.
Like, and so it's kind of doing the same thing as the Marilyn Manson album. Like, Marilyn Manson just told a story of a thing that happened, and it's not saying this is good. It's just saying this is the story that's being told. And Christians, I know, would hate this song
Yeah,
because it's a story about something they don't like,
right.
but there's no ideology being pushed here. This isn't Demon Hunter.
No. Well, and I
Brother
think that
Dave, you took my half formed idea and you expressed it way more eloquently, so thank you for being the reasonable smart one in the
Teamwork.
Yeah, making the dream work, baby.
But I think that, yeah, that goes to the core of evangelicalism is that different people telling stories that go against the stories evangelicals want to tell, I think they would consider that blasphemous. I think even if it's
Yeah,
not,
because they're idiots. I think
Yeah, I was
that's
yeah,
gonna
kind
say,
of the
and they would be
problem
wrong,
there.
but
right.
they are wrong about so many things. It would just be another in a long list of things they're wrong about. So
Yeah.
I
I mean,
guess
like,
just par for the course.
as as we discussed on our Marilyn Manson episode, like they didn't ever really grapple with the lyrical content of his work or engage with him. It was just look at how he looks, and I feel like black metal to a certain degree falls into that category as well. The way it sounds, it doesn't sound like music
Mhm.
should. Therefore, and they do sing about Satan and Satan's son, so it must be blasphemous, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look at the surface level without digging into the themes, and on the
Yeah. And
surface
if
level it's
you would
about
ask
evil.
them, if you would ask them, well, why is this evil? They'd be like, well, just look at it.
Right.
And that's like not a good answer, but that's pretty
Yeah.
much what you would hear.
I shouldn't have to explain this to you.
Is it not obvious? It's not. Could you tell me? Am I just dumb? No.
But musically, we do get a whispered, ominous intro. And I'm not sure if catchy is the right word for the main riff, but it does get stuck in my head. So maybe catchy is the right
Holy
word.
shit.
I don't like how it ends. And then how it comes roaring back at 4:14 absolutely unnecessarily. Brother Dave, you're having a hard
Oh,
time.
Jesus. Yeah. So the 45 seconds of whispered vocals and a ton of echo, that works. And then the main riff comes in, and like you said, it's very standout. I swear I'd heard this riff before, and I think it's just that I'd listened to this album before, and it was the only thing my brain actually took from one listen to another. And so I got here and I was like, man, they must have stolen this from somewhere.
Stole it from the last time I listened to the album.
Yeah. And it's really repetitive, and it's not good. But then, yeah, Brother Paul, you mentioned it, 4 minutes. They do that thing that you do in a live show where you like hit a bunch of drums and you like have the one extended shriek, and like it's the crescendo, right? And then
Mhm.
it's the end of
Finale.
the song. And then for some baffling reason, they just launch back into that terribly unengaging riff. And you're like, why would you do that, first of all? But then they do the show ender again, but a worse version.
Oh yeah, I did not. I did not listen to this album a ton of times in preparation, just because I did not particularly like it. But I got to go back and listen to this song again to check out all of this crazy double ender.
Oh, man. Yeah, this song's not good. And how is it 5 minutes long?
Well, I will say though, my notes say this might be my favorite one on the album? Question mark. But you know, it's like out of what set of songs to choose from, so it's like I don't know, the best of a poor crop. But it does have the very nice, very evil vocals, and it doesn't lean too punk. So I liked that about it. You know, is more mid-paced, I guess, and it might not say it's grating on the ears, but not in a horrible way. So maybe effective black metal. I do also want to call out a comment from Song Meanings by Fipe de Oeid 19 years ago. He says, "This is so fucking badass."
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, it is. Which takes us to track number 9 of Doom, Brother John.
Well, this lyrically, this one is a love letter to their fans for being so great, which I can appreciate that. You know, he's just saying, thanks, guys. Love you too. But yeah, musically starts off with a chaotically blazing riff and fast punk drums, and that pretty much continues for basically the whole song. At a minute 17, there's a wild, scratchy guitar solo. I didn't love it, but they put it in there. And at the end, it fades out. So there's that. Brother Dave.
Those were all the things that I pointed out. I even
it
called
sucks. There's a crazy solo and a fade out.
I said 117 solo. It's not good. And then I wrote fade out at the end. I also called it a love letter to their fans. And this one lyrically was unique in that I couldn't even figure out what line of the lyrics was being shrieked. Usually I could like hear the beginning and the end and would just get kind of lost in the middle of a line. But this one, I don't know if these lyrics are actually what he's saying in this song. Didn't need it.
Again, we get kind of the speed spoken black metal vocals. I like how it gets a little bit stompy at 107 before they go into the solo. We get a bit of a tempo shift at 215 into something a little bit groovier. And the latter half of this song, I'm vibing with it. Again, it's, nothing we haven't heard before on this album, but I still enjoy it. Which takes us to track number 10, which maybe you guys listen to. I believe it might only be on a reissue. It is Outro, and it is basically silence.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice bookend to finish it off. Just a
Yeah.
23-second instrumental synthy noise thing, and then we're done.
YouTube called it Winds of Mayhem.
Yeah, that was
And
on Apple Music too.
yeah, it was fine.
I feel like their intros and outros were maybe the shining achievement on the album.
I know what's going on your 5-song EP at the end of this season.
Just this intro and outro 4 times, and I don't know what we'll put in the middle, but we'll figure it out.
And now it is time to consult the Blasphemeter. And to tell us all about it is Dr. Brother Dave.
Thank you, Brother Paul. Our penultimate segment is the Blasphemeter, where we decide how vile and subversive this album truly is. Merriam-Webster defines blasphemy as the act of insulting or showing contempt or lack of reverence for God or to something sacred. We've put together a 6-tiered ranking system, patent pending, going from 6 all the way down to 1. Of course, we have the truly blasphemous, at 6, sacrilegious, an insulting and direct affront to God. At 5, a godless endeavor. No insults here, but the contempt is palpable. At 4, none for me, thanks. Polite refusal to accept God's greatness or divinity. And then we have the purity tests. At 3, you can't say that. Praising the Lord, but being a little too vocal about his institutions. At 2, you're doing it wrong. Only the most stalwart evangelicals would find offense here. And at number 1, Triple M certified blasphemy free. God has truly blessed this album. And with this album, while it touches on religious themes, it's an explicitly Christian worldview. So, like, hell is bad, and the natural consequence for being evil in life is going to hell. And while the birth of the Antichrist is talked about in one of the songs, it's not painted as a good thing necessarily. It's just kind of a story. So I really couldn't read this album as anti-God or even really anti-religious more broadly. It's got some dark lyrical content, but that's not blasphemy on its own. I'm going to give this a 2.5. That you're doing it wrong. Brother Paul?
Yeah, I was surprised by how little blasphemy there was on this album. I think Bathory's first 2 albums, looking at those lyrics, a little more Satan. But, as we talked about, this is kind of when he starts shifting away and being like, well, Satanism and Christianity are 2 sides of the same coin. I'd rather just sing about Vikings, so I'll start doing that next album.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna have to start a Viking meter soon.
Yeah, so really, I mean, Corthon, he's doing it wrong. Stalwart evangelicals will be able to find offense anywhere. But for the rest of us, there's really nothing that bad. So I'm just going to give this one a straight up 2.
Well, for me, I was thinking like a 3.5. He is approaching his worldview from a generally Christian perspective, acknowledging God's existence and even calling out to him for help in at least one of the songs. But he also seems to be kind of stoked about the birth of Satan's son, who will presumably usurp God's throne or something. So it is a bit of a mixed message. I feel like he's ultimately declining to go with God, but not being super rude about it or anything. So I'll give that a 3.5 between None for Me Thanks and You Can't Say That.
All right, well, with that, let us kick it over to our resident rankings expert, Brother John.
All right, you blasphemers, our final segment is Bop or Flop, where we decide, does the album slap or is it crap? We have honed our patented 6-tier ranking system, going from 6 all the way down to 1. Of course, we have the bops. A perfect 6, unassailable. This album is imbued with the power of the Dark Lord himself. A 5, like to stand on that thing. A beggar, we could easily listen to again and again. A 4, or that's doable. A very solid album, worth checking out. And of course, there are the flops. A 3, it lacks zazz. A 2, sorry it's not my cup of tea. And a 1, belongs in a garbage can. So, this one, as maybe was obvious from my comments, not totally my cup of tea, but it did have its moments and elements that I liked. All right, mainly the vocals. Thought it, great evil tone to his voice, so not bad. But the production is as bad as you might expect from early black metal. And this ultimately is really not an album that I'm likely to ever put on again. So overall, it had some elements for people out there, especially if you are interested in black metal, certainly at least worth checking out. But I'm going to give it a 2.5. It just wasn't my cup of tea.
This is not a great album. There wasn't a single song here where I was like, yeah, that's good and or memorable. Um, which, just isn't the feeling you want walking away after listening to an entire album a couple of times. I feel like the highest praise I can give it is that it's a very consistent album. We don't have a second half slump. If you are on the same wavelength as he was writing it, maybe this is for you and maybe it'll work. It suffers from that terrible production, and I felt like the riffs, the drums, and the vocals were kind of samey throughout. Lyrically, I did like the self-contained little narrative nature of the songs, though it did feel a little bit like an edgelord writing songs about dark things just for the sake of being edgy. But maybe that's being too harsh.
Maybe that's
You
just
know,
being black metal, baby.
yeah, I mean, and black metal guys are traditionally edge lords, so uh, it's what you're in for. Overall, this album, it's definitely not for me, and even accepting that fact, I struggled to see what would be appealing about it to someone who's not me. Like usually for like a genre that I'm not into, if people say it's a good album, I'm like, okay, I can see why people like this. That's just not the case here. Like, it's not the worst album we've listened to on the pod, but it is close. I'm gonna give it a 1.5. This belongs in a garbage can.
You know, I gave it a 2.5, but as we've been talking about it and as I'm thinking about it, I feel like that might be too generous. And I'm historically too generous. I'm going to give it a straight 2. Let me just clarify the record here and now.
This was an interesting album to review. I have a hard time with these sorts of seminal and groundbreaking albums because just because something is new and inspires countless others doesn't mean I want to listen to it. So I can see how and why this album inspired kind of the second wave of black metal and maybe even the broader metal community, but it is still very much just a lo-fi first wave black metal album from 1987 with all that that entails. That said, I didn't mind listening to this album. Yes, the production is what it is, but I don't know. It's got some memorable sections and it's only 35 minutes long. So, given its historical weight, I am ultimately going to give this one a 3. It's not that it lacks zazz, rather, it belongs in a museum. Well,
Museum
heretics.
of garbage cans.
Well, heretics, that's all for this week. Stay tuned for the next episode where we discuss Moonspell's 1998 album, Sin/Pecado. Until then, do what thou wilt, my brothers.
Hell yeah, brother.
Just because something is new and in a innovative. I'm gonna start over.
Innovative.
Yeah. All right.